But I'm sure you're aware that quite recently there was a video of a bus driver who was suffering from the intense heat in his cab because it wasn't air conditioned, and in fact he had to stop and a member of public poured water over him to help him out.
OK, we finally get to Assembly Member Prince and his question on freedom of speech.
Thank you, Chair. Freedom of speech is the cornerstone of our democracy, as is freedom of choice. For example, everyone should be free to change their political loyalties when the opportunity presents itself. Like any of our hard-won freedoms, freedom of speech should never be taken for granted. As politicians and as citizens, we must guard the right to speak freely. We must do so for everyone in society, regardless of their faith, ethnicity, gender, background, sexuality or political orientation. It is fundamental that in a healthy democracy we're able to have open, robust debates. However, what is clearly not appropriate is for anyone to use language that's intended to promote hatred and division. No right of freedom can justify hatred and inciting violence, and there's no place for that in London. Freedom of speech is necessary for our democracy, as is respect for the rule of law. If the member wants an example of where I stand on free speech, he should find a picture of the giant inflatable version of me in a yellow bikini that flew above Parliament in my first term.
Still losing sleep over
I can't say it's a lovely thing to look at. Yellow isn't really my colour, but I didn't think twice about giving protesters the right to fly it. My message to Londoners that day was clear. Whether I disagree with you or not, I'll always defend your right to protest and to speak your mind. Worryingly, there are some countries around the world who have a rich history of free speech, like the USA, where it looks like freedom of speech is being eroded. As is often the case, politicians and pundits who claim to be champions of free speech talk a good game. Their actions, however, tell a different story. And I'll remind the member that freedom of speech in this country is primarily protected by Article 10 of the European Convention of Human Rights, incorporated in the UK law by the Human Rights Act 1998, a treaty that both of his political parties have vowed to leave.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. I was actually in Salisbury at the weekend. I think you'll find it's in the Magna Carta as well. Thank you for that answer, and it's very refreshing. But I'm sure you're aware that quite recently there was a video of a bus driver who was suffering from the intense heat in his cab because it wasn't air conditioned, and in fact he had to stop and a member of public poured water over him to help him out. Later on, obviously, he spoke out about this and he was dismissed. Do you think that's right?
I don't know about the individual case, but I'll look into the case. It's one of the reasons why I encourage not just bus drivers but for others to join a trade union to protect their rights. It's not acceptable for any worker, let alone a bus driver, suffering conditions like the ones he's described. I'm happy to, if you give me the details after MQT's look into this individual case.
Yeah, I will, because I'm sure you'll agree it can't be right that one, he had to be under those conditions, and two, because he spoke out, he was dismissed. Surely that's wrong.
Because he spoke out.
I'll make the point. I mean, I know from my experience as not just a lawyer, but also as a politician, but also as a human being, that's one of the reasons why trade unions are a good thing. But let me take the case from the member and look into it.
I'll take you on that. Thank you.
OK, we're moving on to Assembly Member Cooper.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Although I'm not sure many of us wanted the images of blimps above London of politicians wearing nappies or yellow bikinis restored to our memories. I just wanted to come back to the issue of freedom of speech. I noticed that Assemblymember Boff had posted on social media to say that people in Havering and Redbridge should perhaps have the opportunity to express their opinions about this change from dark blue to turquoise that has taken place with Assemblymember Prince. It was Assemblymember Boff did post on social media suggesting there should be a by-election, Keith. Do you think that is something that should happen? And also, I just wondered if you think that, 17 months ago you were resoundingly defeated Assemblymember Hall. Do you think Assemblymember Prince has run away from the Conservative group because Assemblymember Hall is back as their leader? Or is there some other reason? Some other reason, do you think?
Although it was a ballot, I did vote for her, actually.
Chair, I don't like getting involved in family disputes. But I know, just a matter of record, that Keith Prince isn't the first Conservative to leave the Conservatives and join Reform. He won't be the last either. And I think we can see not just the group here divided, in City Hall. We can see the Conservative group divided in Parliament as well. The point I make gently to anybody who's thinking of changing parties is, we all stood on a platform last May in the general election in July, and I think it's worth reflecting. I don't want to preach in relation to personal choice. It's worth reflecting on promises we made when we stood for election and whether they can be kept. I understand there are challenges when you are elected on the list. It's not as easy to jump ship, which I suspect one of the reasons why Susan Hall is still a Tory, not a Reform.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fair, for those reflections.
Assemblymember Prince raised this question to highlight a critical contradiction between freedom of speech in principle and freedom of speech in practice. While the Mayor had just reaffirmed his belief in open debate and the right to express opinions, Prince drew attention to the real-world case of a London bus driver who suffered in unbearable heat and was reportedly dismissed after speaking out. His reasoning was simple yet powerful. If workers fear losing their jobs for raising safety or welfare concerns, can we truly say that freedom of speech exists for everyone? The issue wasn't only about one driver, it symbolized how everyday Londoners often face silent pressure not to speak up. By raising this case publicly, Prince sought accountability and empathy from the Mayor, urging City Hall to look deeper into the balance between workers' rights and freedom of expression. His intent wasn't to politicize the event, but to remind leaders that values like fairness, respect, and protection of workers must go beyond speeches and slogans. In doing so, he connected the grand ideal of free speech to the lived experiences of Londoners, those who keep the city running, often without recognition, and deserve both a voice and protection when they use it. Do you think workers in London can truly speak freely without fear of losing their jobs? How can City Hall ensure that freedom of speech protects everyone, from politicians to the everyday people who keep London moving? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth political commentary, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of power and politics. Thanks for watching.